Everybody, I'm Marc Billings, founder of Blackdove. I'm here today with stereoscopic 3D incredible artist Coldie. Good morning, Coldie.
How's it going, Marc? Thanks for having me.
Haven't seen each other since the Beeple opening.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. That was like the night that we kind of fought for our lives for pieces of paper and memories. It was nuts.
It is the temple of digital, I would say. He really has outdone even himself, which is hard to do, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, he's like the Willy Wonka of the space, right? You walked into that room and you had no idea what was going to happen, and it lived up to it every single moment.
I agree. I think he inspired Rafik, who's now going to build something out in LA.
Oh, damn. Cool. That's near me. I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah, should be interesting. Well, and you and I, Coldie, we got to meet on an amazing trip. We were traveling, we were hanging out. That was really fun. What did you think about Dubai and UAE when we were there?
I mean, it was obviously a way different world. I'd never been to the Middle East. Just never, I've been to Europe, but it was just like a totally different world. The architecture, just everyone was so nice as well. I was like really taken aback by just how polite and kind and caring people actually, were everywhere we went. Obviously the art shows were amazing. We got to hang out with a bunch of cool artists. The UAE embassy were wonderful. It was just like kind of a trip of a lifetime. It was pretty awesome.
It was pretty amazing. It was good to get to know you that time. Well, so Coldie, we are obviously all into the digital art space, right? Blackdove, we're doing installations, we're selling the art, and really where we are seeing the future is in installations, right? Where we think the industry is moving is that the art, which has lived so far online in phones, is now obviously, as we're showing here today, we think it's the must-have accessory for any home in the world. Got to have a digital art screen. Now, the reason to have a digital art screen is so that we can have amazing digital art. We're here to talk about you. You grew up where?
I'm a California boy. So I was born in Southern California, and then transitioned up to Northern California with my parents when I was just a little kid. And then I popped back down there and went to art school and worked. I worked at LA Weekly, so I had good exposure to art and culture and music and everything. And it was kind of that time back down there where I, learned to make art, learn how to make my style of art. You go to art school, they don't teach you how to make your art. You got to figure that shit out yourself. So I figured out my vibe of what I wanted to do. Then I worked, and I was doing covers at LA Weekly, and it was the readership was 100,000 people every issue, and that was once a week. So I was cranking these covers out, right? And it was so amazing to have that opportunity. And then came back up north where I could kind of decompress from that city life, and that's where the art just started pouring out. And I've stayed up here since.
So you referenced art school, discovering your own art. Are you saying that in art school is when you developed the stereoscopic?
Yeah, I would say I didn't. It came a little bit later, but more what I was kind of figuring out was like how I wanted to use, like what was my medium, right? Like I took painting classes. I'm not a painter. I can put paint in textures, looks great, but like I'm a collage artist. I'm a digital artist. There's these different things that I came into, like animation classes. Like I could tell what really stuck for me. So I was honing in those skills while also taking the fine art classes. So I could do like these, this is something that came from all that after art school and working. This is a collage piece of art on canvas, and then I started burning them, right? So like these crazy like techniques and things that I learned in art school became useful when I just started doing my own stuff. So it took some time to kind of like figure that out in your brain.
Now, were you doing, we spent time together, I don't know these questions. Were you doing digital stereoscopic in the style that we know you for now before the NFT movement?
Oh yeah. I started doing like stereoscopic stuff in 2007, somewhere around there. I was going to these super nerdy 3D camera club of LA. I went to these meetings in the church basement, and they're like looking at stereo photos. Like everyone's like 60 years old, right? It's like an old person's niche. And I walked in there, I was like 24.
You're an old soul, by the way, so that makes sense.
I totally fit in. Like it was totally fine. And like they felt that. They're like, what's this kid doing here? Right. And that's like, man, you guys are amazing. So they taught me, like all the elders taught me the best way to do photography, graphic design, anything I wanted to do. I just asked, and then they told me, they're like, we want you, the proverbial you, to carry the torch, because we're not going to be around that long. So I took a huge honor in these secrets of the trade, right? That they took decades to learn. I was kind of handed this golden ticket so I could just hop onto a concert stage and start shooting, 3D concert photos. And I had some bearing of what I needed to do, right? So that was like a blessing of a lifetime for sure.
So I've got questions, but is that what we see when we are experiencing your works? When you say stereoscopic, that's how the depth of the works comes sort of through this, what do you call it? This like latent space type of an experience?
Yeah. I mean, this technically, if we're going to get really technical, this would be like a parallax animation where you have things at different levels that move. And that's essentially what stereoscopic is as well. But if you want to get really technical, stereoscopic, you got to have the 3D glasses, that, or a lenticular screen or something that actually makes it pop off the screen.
Got it.
I also do digital.
We all know that.
Yeah. But you can do a digital thing like that with glasses. Then it takes it to a whole nother level, right? So it just depends on the piece. Like some things are 3D glasses, some are not. It's just kind of dependent on each piece.
Now, is the same piece 3D on the screen and with the glasses, or is there a different technique? So if you're using a 3D, because in the old movies, like it was hard to watch a movie without the glasses. Is that still the case?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's they're coming out. There's like lenticular screens that are coming out that are like more automated, but if you're looking like traditionally, you're going to have that like blurry effect, or the red and the blue color shift if it truly is stereo right now. But again, like I've seen some amazing new tech coming out that has fixed that problem.
It's really cool having, and we've tested 3D on the screens. We can do it. You just have to put the glasses on.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. It's really, really wild. And it's such the technique that you've developed over the last X numbers of years, completely unique in the market. I think there's nothing more interesting. I know I reposted something that you posted. It was the Snoop, the recent Snoop release. It really becomes, as a fan of digital art, and I'll tell you personally, I don't know that you've heard this from me, the reason why I love digital art, and the reason why, did I ever tell you why we named the company Blackdove?
No.
Birds were messengers in ancient history.
Yep.
So Blackdove is a messenger platform, so that the art is the message and it can fly from one place to the other. Love it.
That's awesome.
Cool.
I love it.
And the reason why I love it, and the way Blackdove works, is that when there's a new release, it can immediately reach the screens of the people that want to collect it, right? Whether it's NFT licensing, other models, right? Open edition sales, those things. That's all working itself out right now because there's just different models that people are going to collect digital art with, right? But at the end of the day, the ability for you to release a new work and me to have it in my home that night.
Yeah.
Right. That's what's cool about digital from my perspective. What are we looking at here? This is the original Snoop piece.
Yeah, the one behind you is the original Snoop piece. I made that with him in a collaboration in December of 2021. And it was, I mean, talk about a lifetime moment to actually get to do a collab. And we talked about it. And I said, hey, if we're going to do a collab, let's really collab. You know, like you do the music and I'll do the art and we'll make something, right? Like that's what artwork is. And he totally agreed. And he laid down the rap. I actually wrote the lyrics for it, which is another crazy thing.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
You write the lyrics.
Yeah. It was.
And that's what I'm listening to is your lyrics.
Yeah. Yeah. So like things came up in his personal life. He was not able to spend the time to write it. So I hopped in and pretty funny story. I had COVID at that time. I just came back from NFT NYC. I was super sick and I was so sick that I took NyQuil. I don't take NyQuil. I'm a very pretty like naturalistic dude. I was so sick, right? I just took some NyQuil. And that was the night I had to write the lyrics. And I wrote these lyrics high as shit on NyQuil and it worked. I don't recommend that to anybody, but I found out that's
go to our zero audience here right now. Don't follow Coldie's lyric writing regimen. Okay,
that's what the rappers do. I found out, so I channeled the rappers, and he loved it. So what am I gonna say? Like I take pride in
nobody's cooler.
Being creative.
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah,
he's an amazing guy. He's really a role model in so many ways. I think you and I have been listening to him our whole lives, essentially.
Yeah,
and all the good work he does for the community. He's the coolest.
I knew Snoop's songs so well at the. I just saw him in concert. I knew like every word to like 80% of it, like all the old stuff. Like I do it so much in my brain that it's locked in there. I didn't have to like catch up on it. It's like, holy shit, how do I know every word of that song? It's nuts.
He's a storyteller, right?
Yeah.
And frankly, we know him because he tells stories of his life through his rap, through the rap music. I mean, the medium is the medium, right? But we know his story because he's told us his story and these amazing things. So as one of those people that we probably know more about him than most other people we do in our life because he's been such a prolific writer.
Absolutely true. Yep.
I got two other works on here. I got the Pepe.
Nice. I love this piece.
Background here, yeah.
So this piece I did with Rare Skrilla, and we did this piece actually to raise money for the Rare Pepe wallet. It desperately needed funding, and like what I got to move the space forward. I'm a Pepe holder, and I know like it needs better wallet. So I worked with all of Skrilla's. These are all Skrilla's Pepe artworks, right? The guy is prolific. So I took his art, and came up with this collage where I'm cutting them all apart, putting them in that parallax animation. He gave me music for it, and that was freaking fun to do. And then that one's held by DVD, so that's in some good hands.
No doubt. Let's pull the NFT wallet and NFT market string for a second here, right? Obviously, the NFT market was absolutely a necessity to unlock all of the opportunity that digital art had to offer.
Yeah.
Right? Because there was no other way to collect before. NFTs gave us the ability to have digital ownership. Yeah. And, look, aside from the fact that you've been so instrumental in the space, as a supporter of the space, an artist that has sold spectacularly in the space. It does seem like the market's evolving right now. I think in a good way, by the way. I think in a great way. I just think it's a cyclical concept, and I think we're our philosophy is that it may not look like what it looked like during the 1.0 days, right? But NFT 2.0 is going to be a heck of a lot bigger than NFT 1.0 was. And then NFT 3.0 is going to be even bigger, right?
Yeah. I think, like you said, it's a fractal. This is a cycle. We got to see the early parts, and what we saw in 21 is not the first one. Like there's been fractals starting back since 2014. Somebody made digital crypto art in 2014, and in their life, crazy, right?
2002. I started Blackdove in 2002.
2002. Yeah. So I mean, this digital art has been around for a very long time.
To Giles Hendricks, Coldie.
Okay.
First work of digital art I collected. Giles Hendricks. Check them out. We have a DVD. We were doing DVD distribution in 2002. This dude is so radical. You will love him. He's insane what he was doing. I'll find it for you.
Yeah, please do. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, this has unlocked, abilities for so many artists, like digitally, like that have never had a chance. And I think that as these cycles continue to evolve, I mean, it's kind of, the money is wonderful when it gets crazy, but I think people get wrapped up in the hype cycles. I think everyone just needs to like chill and take a step back and realize that like what we have now never existed before. And like, it's a paradigm that we all are like thankful for. And as more people get into it, it'll become more common. But right now, the market's down and we're stuck tied to crypto prices, right? It's like nothing to do with art. It's just kind of silly, but we've proven the technology and art will succeed, right? So I think, like myself, I'm heads down. I am so busy right now. It is insane how many things I'm working on just because I'm a digital artist who now is able to release art on the blockchain, right? It's just has nothing to do with like what's hot and what's going on. It's like, this is my path. Like as much time as I can. I have so many things to do and it's exciting, right? Like it's here. It's not going away.
Talk to me about, I do want to talk to you about the new projects coming out. That's great. Before we get there, I would love your thinking around, really, we started off in this model of digital art is going to be the next great collectible investment asset. One of ones were everything. And I think they still will be. I think there's going to be unique assets that continue that. But we've also seen like the release that Kaz did recently with, what's the artist's name? I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Korean artist
Spot. I don't have that off the top.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. Anyway, I'll go back and remember it. They went to an open edition, limited time model, sold out 72,000 works, right, in 24 hours, cleared over $1 million with the artist, right? What do you think? Like, does it matter? Is it a little bit of everything? Different projects, different edition sizes?
I think, again, it comes down to the artist, what they want to get out there and what the message is. And I think also for the collector to understand what they're buying are the two aspects of it, right? If you're buying a piece of art that 72,000 other people have, you're obviously buying it because you love what it looks like. Like that's not going to be a very strong secondary market. There's just so much supply. But you buy art again because you love it, right? So I think it's important to understand from both sides what the exchange is, right? And I think for me, I haven't done open editions to this point yet. Not saying I never will. I just haven't had that project that necessitated that type of like volume. Personally, like you were talking about, in the years past, I'm primarily a one-of-one artist. I've started doing a series, but not super huge. But I have seen, as the market has been evolving and quite frankly growing, I can't just sell like this piece, one-of-one X copy collab. Like that has to go to like, that was a one-person sale. Basileos owns that piece, and like, he's a great collector, and I'm glad he has it. But over the years, I've also learned that I want my art to be acceptable or accessible and acceptable, I guess.
Not acceptable.
Yeah, whatever. I don't even know what that word means, but accessible, right? And so with that, I've started doing larger drops to get, frankly, more people to be like have a chance to collect my stuff. It's like super important to me.
Look, the power of digital, I think it's really the takeaway. What I'm hearing from you is that there are certain artworks, and here's how I would believe, I agree with this. I think that there needs to be products for different buyers.
Yep.
Right? There are collectors of art that only will buy one of ones. And those will hold the test of time.
Yep.
Right? And those will have secondary market opportunities. But that doesn't necessarily mean, and I think we can look historically at some of the great artists, whether that's the traditional artists. I'm blanking on his name right now. Campbell Soup Kitchen, Andy
Warhol. Yep.
Warhol, or Cause. Right. I think Cause in a modern world has shown us that, hey, you can be an amazing artist and an amazing business person at the same time. Yep. Right.
Absolutely.
You get a one-of-one Cause painting. That thing is amazing. At the same time, I love the Cause sculptures, right? They're having a little bit of the ability to have a little bit of the artist, even if I'm not the wealthiest person in the world, really, it makes me feel included in the process.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I definitely have that same mindset. And some of the things I'm working on right now are directly like related to that, without going into like any detail, but like I really like working on finding ways to, it's the classic build your community, but like even bigger than that, I really want to like solidify being a part of an ecosystem and having that mean something to everybody, right? Not just the whales who own a whole bunch of 101s. Like we're literally all in this together. And I think that, as an artist, we're put in a interesting, space where people are enjoying our art. I make art just to make art. Like whatever happens to it, I can't tell you if it'll be a good piece of art or not, but I make, right? So then people consume and appreciate. And when that loop happens and you can, have somebody come into your ecosystem and then they want to, chat, like we're in Discord talking. We're like, I have friends who, when I travel, I'll just like hit them up and be like, hey, I'm in town. Like, let's hang out. Like, we're getting to a space that wasn't really like that in traditional art. There's a lot of gatekeeping. There's a lot of like, galleries don't tell you who buys the work. And then, it's just a weird thing. We're breaking that down. Right. And I think I'm taking that super seriously because like my collection.
So why do you think that's true, by the way?
Why the gatekeeping?
Why do you think? I have a philosophy on why I think that's true. And I think it's a very unique situation here. It's part of what you just said, but I'll just tell it to you. This is the first time that we're experiencing a new medium of art, especially in a modern economy, where the artists are alive.
Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah, I'll tell you, I mean, my artist path was the same as it still is, right? Like I decided I was going to be an artist way long ago. And my path was that I was going to do the best work I could. And I'm going to save some pieces. And some of these things maybe could help my family when I'm dead if somebody appreciated my shit. Like, quite frankly, I was never expecting anything from being alive and making art. I went to art school. I took 5 art history classes and everyone was dead. So it was like, you're going to be dead. So I think that now that we are alive, you're exactly right. And it's funny, I literally I'm getting text messages from somebody that was over at a David Hockney show in Europe, and they were writing me. They're like, man, I appreciate you. Like, it was that same thing. It's like, man, you're alive and you're making stuff. Like, it just put this vibe, right? So now they're going out and experiencing other people's art, and it brings back this connection to want to reach out to us living artists, right? It's you're exactly on the point. And I think that being alive and being able to sell art is like, it's unpaved path. You know, like we don't know what Dali and Picasso were really like wanting. Like it happened after, right? So I think that, you know, I'm working on solidifying that for my crew, right? Like everyone doesn't roll hard with me, right? I don't care. You like what you like. But the people who do love my art, dude, diamond encrusted hands, like they will not, like my one of ones do not sell because my collectors, first of all, love them. And it's
no, they don't resell. They don't go up for resale.
Exactly. Yeah. They get offers all the time. And they tell them,
all of your one of ones sell. They just don't go back on second.
Exactly. Yeah. They sold long ago. And whenever they sell, they get put into the cold wallet and they love them and they just don't ever like resell them. So I'm very fortunate to have very good collectors, and like not just good because like they'll buy my stuff, but good because they actually care about it. You know, I've been getting hit up by people who have sold things and they sell them like OTC or some type of not on chain. They literally, I got 2 of them over the weekend. They're like, dude, I gotta send you your royalties on these. I was like, wow, you know, like it's so easy not to do that. And it's a testament to how my relationship is with my crew. Like I roll hard and like they understand that. And they come through. Like I don't ask for that shit, but they like, I insist. Like I must do this. It's like, shit, man. Like that's what this is all about. Like, wow, you know, that's heavy.
And it's also part of you because you're an amazing guy. But we won't get too deep into that right now. Your audience, my audience already knows that. What projects are coming up? What big ideas are coming for this fall season? What can you tell us? Where will you be? You're going to be you coming to visit me in Miami during Basel?
Yes, I'm planning on Basel. Yes. I'm planning.
I'm not sure yet what, but we're going to do something.
Okay. Yeah. We'll definitely have to connect. Definitely planning on coming to Basel. I have 3 significant projects that I'm heads down on that are 2024 releases. So I'm back into creation mode. I released a whole bunch of stuff the last couple months, and now it's like series projects, right? Not just like one-off little things. I'm getting deeper at these several different things that are like legit things that I have to spend a couple months to make, right? Those are going to come out next year. I'm just like way excited about these things. I hate to be vague, but I can't even talk about them. but
the excitement will build. The excitement will build.
But I will say that kind of what you're talking about. So I would call myself, I'm an artist. I work digitally, but I'm also getting into physical art components as well. Right. So I'm going back to my roots, you know, like I love pushing pixels. It's great. But I went to art school. Like I showed you the canvases I burn. Like there's things that I like to do tactily. So I'm taking these next projects, at least 2 out of the 4, and having a serious physical component to it, just because it's art. I got to make different things. So, I
think it's very natural. Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. I mean, it's only natural to. The pendulum is always going back and forth. Once you saturate your brain, you need some creativity going the other direction. So that is all very exciting. Anything you want to tell? So Blackdove Possess, our jobs here just to get your artwork displayed in beautiful spots. Our goal with the Possess newsletter that we want to educate traditional art collectors in digital. Okay, that's our stated mission with Possess, with Daniel and Ryan. I get the opportunity to be the face guy and doing the interviews. Obviously, we're out here, going to be promoting it. But those two guys come from a wonderful art collecting families. Okay. And so they've been immersed in it for so long. And so when we met, they said, well, it's incredible. How do we get involved? And I said, look, let's go meet everybody. Right. You're going to find that the stories, just to what we're talking about, stories are what people want. Right.
Yeah.
There are ages in the past where people would go into a gallery and go into Pace, go into Gagosian, and they're buying some brand, but they never met the artist, though they didn't know the artist.
Yes.
There's an interpretive layer, but on many levels, sort of the machinery creating the value versus the one-on-one interactions that we have in this social era.
Yeah.
So you met your fans, you've got your Discord and those different things. So our hope is that we get to introduce our favorite artists, you being one of them in our first cast here, to a traditional fine art community. Okay, and I think this was a wonderful entrance. They're going to get to know you. They understand the art history. They get it now. They see it. They understand where your head's at. So we appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, no, it's great to, first of all, just catch up with you. Yeah, I just love, just kind of, I always since the beginning, I'm just spreading the word. Like when I first came into the space in 2018, I was really just trying to prove the technology for my favorite artists, right? I really thought that the two people that I was like thinking that could use this very well in the future was Shepard Fairey and Banksy, right? Like obvious household names. But I was like, if I can be an artist and I can, obviously do my best art out there, but I think they are watching from the sidelines and we need to prove this technology works, right? And since then, Shepard has done releases, and it's just good to see that all of us, there are hundreds, thousands of us early on that were doing this. We had to be the guinea pigs and we had to prove the technology in different ways so that it could take off. And if we didn't do it, and everybody since 2014 that was minting, that all had to happen for any of this to be here. So it's really a hats off to everybody that has stuck it out and grinded and experimented and put themselves on the line. Without that, that's not, revolutions do not start without that.
You raised a really important point that I want to pick at, which is something, the number one question we get from traditional art collectors when they see, whether it's Blackdove or just the industry, is, do you have any names of artists that we know?
Sure.
Very natural question. And it's what's very interesting about that, from the point that you just made, is that we also started here in Miami working with graffiti artists, and we took a whole bunch of their works and we paid an animator to animate those early works from amazing graffiti artists. Interestingly, though, they were at the forefront of what we were doing, and people, it was okay, but we don't work with any non-self digital artists. That's the wrong terminology, but what we have learned and what we take pride in is the fact that the artists that artists that are natively digital, right? These are the stars of tomorrow, period, right? But more importantly, it's a immersive understanding, innovation at the fingertips, pushing the edge of what we're seeing, versus somebody coming into a studio and being like, oh, well, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Which is why, I learned a long time ago, people would come to me, hey, could you help us do this stuff? And by the way, I love art, love painting, love all of it. But we say, no, thank you. Like, we are all in on artists that are doing the innovation themselves, because that's the trajectory that the industry has to be on. Otherwise, we're just like replicating a painting and it's like moving images a little bit. And frankly, it just isn't that interesting.
Yep. I totally agree. I mean, like the piece behind you, like it's the same as the artist's brushstroke. Like every single movement of that camera, every single placement is me, right? And I take a lot of pride in doing the best I can. Am I the best animator that's ever existed? Of course not. But I work with what I know and I grow, right? And I think that, again, what I like, I meet a lot of people like that too, traditional collectors. And yeah, of course, it's an easy bet to buy a Banksy, right? Like you're probably going to have some exit liquidity. But it's also like, well, what about Paris in the 20s? Like who did the best there? Well, the people who weren't buying the names that everyone else knew, the ones who were lining their walls
Always
in style with the weird stuff, right? So I think that's my retort is like, yeah, of course. You can buy a Shepherd Fairy right now if you want. Of course, you can get that. Nothing wrong. I have a bunch of Shepherd NFTs. Like they're great, but I also have a lot of other things that I like just as much. Right? It's art. Right? I think that's at the end of the game. It's like if you're buying art, you're buying art. If you're investing, you're investing. They can be the same thing, but you know, like you said,
in Miami, there's a family, top 100 art collector family in the world. It's the Rubell family. Okay. Most people don't know their story. They've got an amazing place here. It's called the Rubell Museum. The Rubell collection is legendary. Okay, and the family is amazing. They're just some top collectors in the world, and they have such a fine eye. I think it's their uncle. I actually don't know exactly who it is, but how their collection got started is fascinating and proves your point, and we'll close out here today. Steve Rubell was the founder and purveyor of Studio 54.
Okay, I knew that name. Okay, yep. Okay.
So artists who wanted to get entry into, and maybe, I don't know, I wasn't there, whatever else what you get when you go with the Studio 54, were giving Steve their artwork.
Yep.
So he collected so much artwork from I don't know what era it was, 50s, like I guess 60s, must have been the 60s in New York City with Warhol back and Boscott and stuff like that. Their collection was so spectacular, and I would love to talk with him about it. I don't know the full story, but I know enough to know that years later, that collection became the foundation, right? Sure. And the early collectors, the guys that are here for you today and around the industry today, this is the story that's going to be told 50 years from now that they were smart enough to acquire.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be making art. I'm just whatever journey we're on, my role in my life is to make art. So whoever I can connect with that enjoys it, then, that's a fulfilled life.
Couldn't agree more, my friend. Couldn't agree more. Let's close out for today. This has been amazing. Loved to see you, first of all. Hopefully our new viewers and listeners are going to love to meet you, as I know they will, as I know I have. And we're baited in mystery now for next year's projects.
It's going to be fun. It's a lot of cool things, always experimenting, always pushing my own limits. One last thing I'll say is that I'm also very focused on mixed reality. This is like VR and AR and the metaverse. It's not everything I do, but I know that in 5 to 10 years, we're all going to be in it. So I'm making art now that can be appreciated then.
So how does that work? I'm putting on AR, VR goggles, and I'm in a Coldie experience.
Yeah. So I just did a series. They're 3D 3D sculptures, right, for the virtual world. So if you're on a computer screen, you can rotate it all around. If you're in the metaverse, you can put that in your metaverse gallery and walk around it. And if you're in AR, which is like in real life, you would hold your phone up, or we'll have glasses soon where you can pop that statue up and walk around it in real space. So I'm taking physical and non-physical objects and kind of playing with those in unique ways. And I'm just always experimenting. I just kind of project what I think the future will be. And this is one of those manifestations where it's like digital sculptures. You know, it seems logical to me. So I'm always I'm doing weird shit all the time. Like, you know, I just making stuff.
My son is a gamer. I'm not really a gamer, but my son's a real gamer. And there's 100% certainty that, and I don't know that the right platform has come around yet, honestly, right? I think it's one of these evolutionary things as well. But, you know, I mean, my kids were big Roblox players. My son is a big Fortnite player, right? Those worlds are so immersed. It's only natural that as they're going to begin to collect digital goods, as the new pair of, you know, Jordans that he got, it's almost a surprise to me that every Jordan that you buy from Nike doesn't come with a digital equivalent at this point.
Yeah.
Right. It just seems like very natural that my son should be like, yeah, here's my shoe, here's my digital closet, here's my house. Like that world is coming for.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We have the assets, like, you know, like, and I think that Nike, I mean, they have a deal with Artifact. I think you would have to think that this is part of their roadmap. I mean, it's inevitable. You know, I think it's just now everyone's working ahead of the pace and making it on our own, right? So again, it's like I have some awesome Artifact shoes from 3 years ago that are digital that no one understands what they are now, but I think they're pretty collectible. You know, so I think it's, again, if people are like, you know, it's pretty interesting because like my whole thing is onboarding, right? Especially traditional collectors, because I mean, like when I lived in LA, I was going to art galleries every single weekend and dreaming up what I would collect if I had money to be a collector. And I am an art collector. Like I collect a lot of digital art, and I think that if I feel happy when I meet a traditional collector who's interested, because it's like, if you have an eye for art and you're like into buying digital assets, like Jesus, like it's the best rabbit hole of your life. It's like you can walk in this place and just love it all. So I think, you know, onboarding traditional collectors is a joy of mine. I actually onboarded a pretty awesome collector down in Miami. They bought one of my pieces, bought a couple more other pieces. And it's just like you see the joy in their face. Like there's something new. It's not just walking around art fair booths anymore, you know?